Right, so the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has been pledging to get inflation down. We're told inflation will come down this year. OBR forecasts and the like say it's all going to come down, and lo and behold, inflation rose last month to 10.4%. Oh dear, oh my. How can this be happening then, Damo? Well, it's not wage increases, is it? You watch the Tories blame the trade unions now, many of whom have been accepting wage deals as the cause. But that would be a bit rich since, for one, they haven't actually received the increase yet. And for two, many unions seem to have let their members down by accepting below-inflation pay deals, causing uproar, with many suspecting this has happened to make things less tricky for Keir Starmer going into the next election, preferring him to run the country from 2024 onwards. My God, if things are made any less tricky for him, he'll be able to sleep through it and still win. It's not like he's had to do anything remotely difficult so far, and any problems he's had to deal with, he's certainly managed to inflict on himself. Anyway, special mention to the RMT. They have played a blinder. Great new deal for their members. But it's not wages that have caused this. It's actually much the same issues that are purportedly being dealt with, yet aren't. Hunt's budget has, again, reduced spending power amongst ordinary working people, along with those inflation-created wage cuts, which stoke inflation even more. Lack of spending is a driver of inflation. But please do line the pockets of the wealthy with their pension scam of a tax break by lifting the cap on lifetime pensions allowances. These people aren't spending. They don't have to. They just pocket the money and leave it in that account to gather dust. So the Tories are sacrificing public finances to pay for that isn't going to help the economy either. Profiteering is still a massive driver. Hunt may have extended the energy price guarantee as an example for a few months, but those companies are still making billions in profits instead of taking their share of the pain. The argument for renationalisation is still loud and clear, but neither main party will commit to it. The Tories have never believed in it, of course, still wedded to Thatcherism, and Labour lied to it, wedded to Thatcherism too, as Starmer lies about everything. Since the pandemic, which drove our economy off a cliff edge through the economic incompetence of the Tories, the largest companies have seen their profits go up by 89%. And according to a report by Trade Union Unite, 57% of inflation is due to these companies raking it in. Much of the problem stemmed from the pandemic having been centred around shortages in supplies, which have driven prices up as the government opened the country up too fast for businesses and consumers to cope with. Food prices are easily where inflation has been felt the most for most people. That headline figure for inflation now at 10.4% is an average. It's higher or lower depending on what sector of the economy you're looking at. But as an example, over the last year, we look at food, the price of a sliced loaf of bread has gone up 25.5%. Milk up by 37.1%. And Indian takeaway up 44.3%. It's crazy. And food shortages haven't ended either. And they've just exacerbated this problem. We've seen salad getting rationed recently in shops as the supply issues continue. But with the pandemic largely behind us economically now, this is being driven by Brexit instead. And it's more Tory incompetence, of course. Perhaps we'd better get eating those turnips Therese Coffey told us to crack on with then. Not just to feed ourselves, but to fight inflation too. Blame those pesky droughts and tomato shortages in Spain, despite countries across the EU clearly having no problems getting them. Oh, yes, well, who wants to trade with a country with a ton of red tape like we have when others across the EU will buy your produce without any of that at all? Sorry, folks, that's Brexit again. But also, despite the largest supplier of Swedes and turnips in the UK being based in Coffey's own constituency in Suffolk, despite them having an almost blanket monopoly on supplying Swedes to our supermarkets, they stopped growing them months ago because their price margins have been squeezed too hard by the likes of Tesco and Co. to make them worth growing anymore. 70 to 80% of all of our Swedes now have been imported from France, and that's been the case for a while now. Over there, prices are decided by the open market. They rise and fall based on demand at the point the farmer sells them. Here, prices get dictated to the farmer by the supermarkets who pay what they want, and they're basically pricing our producers out of business. This is a scandal that we've known about for quite a while, but it's got worse. It's a mess all of its own. Brexit has exacerbated, but where food prices are now being blamed for this most recent spike in inflation, the profiteering issues preventing inflation coming down more quickly generally. It also shows why inflation in different parts of the economy, particularly food now, which of course we all rely on, is higher in some areas than other parts of the economy. And of course, the higher it is, the longer it will take for it to come down to more normal levels. We're all spending more on food, paying more inflated prices. We're therefore spending less on other stuff. Our income's effectively being cut in real terms as well, mean our finances keep on being stretched even more at the same time. And they think we're all going to feel better soon because a forecast said so. This is a massive issue, both in terms of the economy and also in terms of sustainability, as we as a country continue to become more and more reliant on importing goods. At the same time, the government has made it even more difficult for that to be done. It's like they're repeatedly punching us in the guts these days until we double over and fall down, and then give us another financial kick to the head just to finish us off for good measure. Could we be looking at a food crisis later in the year, looking at this? Could we see inflation on food continue to rise, driving it up still as shortages continue? Are we in for an even more painful year this year than last? The signs, unfortunately, are there. I guess we'll have to wait and see if anything gets done to mitigate it. But to top it all off right now, the Bank of England could well end up raising interest rates yet again, despite it failing repeatedly to get inflation under control up until now, in the mistaken and insane belief that they think it will get inflation under control, but actually only inflicts more hardship on more people financially with debt or mortgages. Keep an eye on the inflation rates going forward over this next few months, over the course of the rest of this year, because I don't think this issue is going to go away. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the Linktree link in the comments below. And I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.